Welcome back to Call of the Father. I'm sorry if you were waiting patiently last week for a new episode and I didn't post one. Last week was the end of my job. I kind of mentioned it before, and it was coming up, and it was a planned thing. It was a planned layoff. It was a contract where I knew it was coming, so that was the end of it. And I kind of just took some time to myself to reflect on some things in my life, and it's kind of been I don't know, kind of a rough week spiritually. Not real rough, just kind of, I've felt really good about ending my job, and I got another one lined up and things, but just kind of some things that I've been looking at within myself, judgment, and some different things. But that's not what I'm going to talk about today. You are in for a special episode, I believe. This is going to be just stay tuned. There's going to be something really special. I'm not going to reveal it until about partway into this. First, I'm going to start talking about what I was going to talk about today, which is, and I've mentioned it before, being a parent and mentoring kids into that, even adolescence, into that space of romantic relationships and feelings where they're feeling attracted to people, and there's something going on. Come here, buddy. Come on. Come on. Sorry, my dog's trying to come up here. Anyway, I want to talk about, I have two daughters that are teenagers, and they've got a lot of excitement for boys, I guess I'd say, in some ways, and different feelings coming up, different things come up, and I'm embracing it. I see a lot of parents scared of that, and I think my philosophy's different than a lot of parents, and I think I'm right. But I don't know. Everybody's got a different opinion. So I'll go back to before I had the older kids. I had the three older kids during my marriage, and they were, again, from my ex's first marriage. So they were stepkids to me. I never felt that way. I always wanted them, and I told them I wanted to be their dad. I chose them as much as I chose her, and now I still choose them, and I don't choose her anymore. And that's just the way it kind of goes. But I just remember with my older son, there were some things that came up when he was in middle school, and looking back, I don't think that I handled everything exactly right, and thank God things just turned out. Like, he's such an amazing young man. But I didn't know what to do with kids and relationships and attractions. I don't know. He had kind of a girlfriend at one point, and there was a point in middle school he's kind of pressuring her to make out and some things, and I kind of got mad at him. And then, of course, like, kids are attracted. They want to do, I don't know. They have their attractions. And I don't think that the route that I went by making him feel ashamed of attraction was necessarily the right way. I think I could teach a kid to have respect for a girl without making it a shame type of thing, or a message of shame. So that's kind of where my philosophy has evolved to. And it was pretty hard then, just dealing with some of that. I don't know. I guess I just didn't know that he was going to turn out right. And at that time, looking at it from a point of view of, I wanted him to turn out okay under my standards. And my philosophy is different there now too. I kind of want them to develop their own standards and be able to live with them and feel good about who they are. The choices they make, I want them to feel good about who they are and feel like they made the best choices for themselves without shame from their dad, with support, things like that. Anyway, fast forward, there were some times back then dealing with things with him where I really got mad at him a couple times, and I mean to where I definitely let some cuss words out, and my message might not have been all bad, but I believe it could have instilled a little shame around some things. Anyway, he ended up in high school going out with a girl his like freshman year, toward the end of his freshman year, I believe it was. And they're still together, and they're 24 now, about to be 25, and they're engaged. And I just couldn't be more proud of this kid. The way that he treats her, the way that I mean, I know they have their little times, and there's been things, but they work through things. They work through disagreements, and I think that they're very good together. And one thing I really adore, and I have from the get-go, is my son's relationship with her dad. In my mind, I feel like it's very important for a young man to, I don't know if I like the word court, but when he's pursuing a young woman, like, I think it's important that her family is important to him, and that he pursues relationships there too, because she's always going to want to have those relationships. And some of my beliefs around things in the Bible have changed a little bit, like how much of it I buy into. There's certain things, because a lot of things I really believe have been twisted, but there's always truth in everything. I say that often. You can find truth everywhere you look. You can find good everywhere you look. It's what you want to choose to perceive. And in the Bible, there are some messages. One in particular, in the Old Testament, in Genesis, it says, "For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother." And the words, I believe, are a little mixed up here. I don't think it says wife, it says woman. It does say woman. And if you look into the original language, it's universal. It says woman throughout the Old Testament. It's the same word. Anyway, in some cases it's translated woman, and some it's translated wife. I believe wife was put in there later, personally. But it's kind of beside the point. The point is that when two people choose to be together, a young man leaves his father and mother, and that's a good thing. It's good for him to gain autonomy, and hopefully he's been supported by his family to a point where he's ready to move on and ready to go and be with the woman that he's chose to spend his life with. It doesn't say that she'll leave her father and mother. It doesn't say that in there. I don't know, maybe you could say what you want, but in a lot of ways, I believe that relationship with her family is important. And so for my son, he's very close with her father, and I just adore that relationship. I'm close with him too, and I'm close with his fiance, but it's different. There's a difference there, and I really just adore that relationship. It's just really special, and I feel like it's right. So now, fast forwarding into the next part of this, I'm raising 3 younger kids, and I've mentioned that I have them with me most of the time, and so I feel like a lot of it falls on me how to navigate things. I can get some input from their mom at times, and I don't know. Things are different there, but I'm trying to navigate this and encourage my kids, and trying to figure out how to not build shame. And a lot of things come down to, as a single dad, how do I conduct myself in the things I'm dealing with. And from the get-go, after the divorce, maybe this would be a separate episode sometime, but it's been my philosophy that just openness with my kids, being completely open and honest. Obviously, there might be certain conversations you don't have, but I just don't believe in hiding things from my kids. So from the get-go, it's obvious I'm going to someday eventually want to be in another relationship with somebody special. And from the get-go, I've told my kids that they don't have to worry about me dating on the side, which is what the experts, quote unquote experts, say you should do. I just don't agree with that. The experts say you should keep it, secret from your kid. Like, you don't tell them. It's kind of a private thing, and you're dating on the side. Well, I think it's inevitable when you're going to fall in love with somebody at some point, and then you're locked in because you have those deep, deep feelings for that person. And then how are you going to turn that off very easily? And then you're going to come one day and say to your kids, surprise, here's your new stepmom. You can pretend to like her if you don't, and otherwise just deal with it. I just don't agree with that. So I promised my kids from the get-go, when I'm ready to date or if I'm interested in somebody, they're going to know. I'm going to talk to them about it. It's okay. It's going to be an open conversation. And I think one of the points that the psychology experts use is that you're allowing them to get their hearts broken again if they get attached to this. I don't agree with that. I just actually don't agree with that. I think that there's security in them knowing that they're going to be a part of this process. And that's what I told them. They're going to be a part of it, and we're going to talk through things. I want to see how somebody interacts with my kids. I want to see how my kids interact with them. I'm very intuitive. I'm very observant, and I see how I pick up on things. And part of that comes from my codependent programming, which I've mentioned quite a bit before, but there's a benefit to it. And I'm going to pick up on body language and different things, and I'm just going to talk openly with my kids. And I think that with all of that, me promising not to just surprise them, my kids are very in favor of it. They've even talked about, I think they've been more ready for me to meet somebody than I have been ready to meet somebody at times. And so anyway, that's just leading into there's a lot of open conversation between me and my kids. And they're 16, 14, and 12. I feel like I can have conversations on their level about that. So now, going into my daughters, I don't know, I just remember about 3 years ago, I was working on something in the kitchen. I think I was under the sink working on, I can't remember. And not the older of the younger three, but I've mentioned her quite a bit before, and she's sitting at the breakfast bar talking to me while I'm working on something. I'm just listening. So I was focused on what I was doing, but I was listening. And so she's just talking away, and she's telling me so-and-so has a crush on so-and-so, and so-and-so. She's just spilling all the tea. And it was kind of funny, and I was like, in my mind, I remember thinking, holy crap, like, she's really telling me a lot here. And then I remember starting to wonder, well, wait, she's telling me about this girl and that girl and this guy and all these kids that have crushes on each other. And I wonder if she's going to tell me who she has a crush on. And then all of a sudden she kind of pauses and she goes, and my crush is so-and-so. And then she just giggles and she goes, I can't believe I'm telling you all this. And I probably hid my face under the sink, and I had the biggest grin in the world, because in my heart I felt that, and I thought in my mind, this is good. Like, this is good that she's spilling her heart. She's telling me, and she's learning, like, I'm listening and I'm not judging, and she's learning that it's okay to share with Dad. He's not going to be judgmental. And I said, long before that, I remember saying, if I don't listen to my girls when they have things to say, if I don't listen to them when they want to talk, then they'll probably find somebody that'll listen that I might not care for. And so if I'm listening and I'm open and we can have open conversations, encourage them. I want to encourage them to be able to make smart decisions, and, great grace isn't the word. Responsibility breeds responsibility. So as we have discussions and I give them more leeway, then they make good decisions and they get more leeway, they get more space to make their own decisions. And I just feel like they're going to do well. And I don't know. That was a big, I'll never forget that night, just her spilling all the tea. And it was kind of funny. It was cute. It was really cute. And I feel like my girls are able to share things with me. So I have a very special surprise here. I've never done an interview on this podcast yet, but I'm about to do an interview. And so I'm going to introduce somebody very, very special to me. I call her my sweet and sour. From the time she was very, very little, she was the sweetest thing, unless she wasn't. And when she wasn't, she was sour. She had she's got a wide open mouth right now, like, what? Anyway, my daughter, she's the 16-year-old. The other thing I often call her is Sweetie Pie, which she has a nickname for me that her and my other daughter always call me. What's that?
I always call him Daddy Pie. It's just always been our thing.
The first time they called me Daddy Pie, I wasn't sure I liked it. And the more I thought about it, I was like, this is pretty special and pretty sweet. Now, I want to talk to Sweet and Sour.
Okay.
This is the original DQ here. I didn't say CQ or GQ. This is DQ. From the time she was a baby in the NICU, the nurses nicknamed her the drama queen. Because when she felt her feelings, she felt them hard. I remember the nurse bathing her, and she was just like, ah! And the nurse was like, oh, drama queen. And I was thinking the nurse was being kind of rough with her, but what do I know? The nurse does that all the time. So anyway, from the time she was little, that was another nickname, was drama queen.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think that she's a drama queen. She's actually just one of the sweetest personalities, one of the sweetest people I know. And most people who know her, pretty much anybody who knows her would agree with that. So we'll call you Sweetie Pie.
Okay.
All right, Sweetie Pie. I just want to have you interject a little bit about how I interact with you on the dating scene, and we could talk about some of the boys that you've talked to and how we talk about things and how you feel our openness or this conversation goes and how it affects you in your heart, in your life, decision making, things like that.
Yeah, I feel very blessed that me and my dad have the open communication that we do around this topic of boys and everything. I know a lot of my friends don't have this open of a relationship with their parents. I know a lot of my friends are not supposed to date like until they're 18 or until they're like 17, whatever number it is. And there's a lot of rules that their parents have, and it's to make them feel like, I think it ultimately makes them feel shame. Like if they do like a boy, like, oh, I'm not supposed to like them because that's not allowed and stuff. But my dad has always, I would say, encouraged that for the most part. He's never said like, oh, you're not allowed to do that or you're not allowed to do this.
Unless I'm joking.
Sometimes
I joke
sometimes he teases us.
Yeah, you can date when you're 40.
Yeah, but I really appreciate that he wants us to experience those kind of things. And for me, like, I think it helps a lot knowing that I'll go into my future, like once I move out and stuff, and I'll have these important skills that I'm learning right now on interactions with boys and green flags and red flags and what I do and don't like. And I just think it'll help me, like, in the end, just with everything, my dating life and choosing my partner and everything. It just makes a huge difference versus kids who don't get that opportunity. And then it's just like all new to them.
I agree with what you're saying, and the green, you mentioned green flags and red flags, and what do you think that you've learned so far about green frogs and red flags?
I think, like, coming from past relationships, I've noticed that I'm particularly, like, not very attracted to a guy when he's, like, pretty shy or not. I would almost say not enthusiastic. Like,
that's the way you feel now.
that's the way I feel now. So when I had my first like high school relationship, for the most part, the one like actually kind of serious, like we would actually hang out and stuff. It wasn't just like walking together in school. It was more than just that. It was kind of like we'd hung out and we met each other's families, and I think it was good. I think I learned a lot from that relationship of things that I do and don't like, and I don't regret it. Like I wouldn't go back and choose not to have that relationship. Like I feel lucky to have had it, and I think I learned a lot, like being able to reflect now and see that when I met that person, he was pretty, I'd say shy overall, and I thought it was just part of his personality. But then over time, I realized that he wasn't a very open person for the most part, and kind of I think it was definitely from ways that he was raised and stuff that I see now too, and things that his parents probably influenced and stuff.
So you were telling me before that you feel like maybe he has some shame around being interested in a girl and
Yeah,
having a relationship
because
that.
I remember I went to one of his soccer games, and this was when we had been dating for a little while. And I went and I sat next to his mom, and my dad was with me, and we were watching him play soccer, and it was good, like talking with his mom and his dad. And then later on, I found out that that kid didn't tell his parents that we were even dating.
When we were at the soccer game?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know this.
yeah, he didn't
They
know.
didn't. They didn't know that he was dating you when we were at the soccer
No,
game.
they didn't know. He didn't tell them. And
Oh,
like yeah. So he told me that later on, which was
okay.
kind of
That's
interesting. So to me, looking back now, that's a red flag. Like I think it's important that like the person I end up with is open with their family and not feeling like they're trying to hide things or like
yeah,
feel
for
ashamed.
sure.
Yeah.
I agree. I thought his family was really nice. I thought that
I
he
loved
was.
his mom. Yeah.
I thought he was a nice boy. Like I thought there were good things about him, and I wasn't trying to focus on anything bad. I didn't I did notice that he seemed a little standoffish and shy toward me. And one of my things with my daughter's dating is that I hope that I hope that your boyfriends, if you're interested in a boy, like right now you're in this talking phase
Yeah.
with that's a apparently if you don't know, these days dating has changed a lot and they've added a step from when we were kids. It's a lot different now. And I actually think this is a good thing. They added a step, officially talking. That's an official
Maggies.
stage. It's it's an official thing, apparently. I'm kind of making fun of this, but it's fun to make fun of. But it's a good thing. These kids now they're either officially talking, and all the kids know when somebody's talking to somebody, and
It's
they
like
respect that. There's some kind of respect there. I actually think that's a good
it's
thing.
like
Maybe
a
it's a
subtle kind of commitment, but it's also not a full commitment. Like there's still time. Like
yeah. I
nothing's
feel like
rushed.
that's a good thing. Anyway, so you're in this talking stage now with this kid. Supposedly, I feel like you guys are both pretty into each other and building trust, building um, just getting to know each other.
Yeah.
You're getting to know each other, and I feel like it's a really good thing.
And in a way, right now, it's almost just building a friendship too, like that kind of connection. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there isn't a hard
Pressure.
commitment or pressure
Yeah.
here, and I feel like it's a really good thing. Anyway, I want to go back for a second to the previous boyfriend when you guys officially went past talking. I don't know that you were in the talking phase because he's kind of not very talkative,
Yeah.
but you went into he asked you to be officially be his girlfriend
Yes. Yeah.
one day, and it was kind of a big deal. And um, I think I was in favor. I so the way that I see it, and I think I've talked to my daughter about this, but talking to the audience here now, one of my things that I see in this is that the stakes are low now when they're kids, and I want them to have these interactions and get to know what they do and don't like rather than shaming it or giving them any message that would make them believe there's shame or they should feel that way about getting to know somebody or even being attracted. I feel like they can learn a lot right now, and especially if I'm open and they can tell me everything. Like, I feel like it's a much better thing. So with the previous boyfriend, I did notice after a little while that he seemed to avoid coming around here, maybe, possibly.
He often, yeah, he would often say that he was too busy, like he had, because he played a sport and he really liked to fish and stuff, and he had school and everything, and so I feel like when somebody wants to make time, they'll make time, but there were a lot of excuses most of the time.
Would you agree that a lot of the conclusions that you have about it now and the things that you see as lessons learned about green flag, or what you see now as green flags and red flags that you learned from that, you didn't necessarily recognize at the moment when you
Oh
were in the
yeah,
relationship?
100%,
A lot of reflection afterwards, you
definitely.
look back and saw.
I think that's when I like learned, you know what I mean, for the most part.
Was after you
Like was
broke up.
after the fact actually, because I got to reflect in now talking to somebody new and stuff, seeing different things, like you know what I mean, and just seeing how different people
Sure.
are and everything, and seeing that not every relationship is like that, you know what I mean.
Sure. To me, it's a big deal that my daughters, the boys that are interested in them, that they would not be afraid of me, and that they would be confident enough to come around because they feel good. They don't feel ashamed. That's a tricky thing because unfortunately, a lot of parents are building shame in their kids without knowing it. So I'm hoping that they meet boys that eventually meet boys that are like, I want to meet your family. I want to do this. This boy that she's talking to right now seems to be that way. He invited her to lunch one day and invited her sister as well. And her sister was like, Are you sure you guys don't want to go alone? And she's like, No, he invited you too. He wants you to come. And tell them what he told you.
Oh, he just told me that he wants to meet my family, and that if like things that are important to me, it's important to him. I don't know exactly how to word this correct. It's not word for word, but things that are important to me are important to him. So just saying that like my family is my family, so it's going to be important to him too. So he wants to meet my family, and he wants to build that connection around it, like for me for the most part, and for him like to get to know me and just everything, my entire family.
I think that's cool. Everything I hear so far, I think he sounds like a nice young man. So, with the previous, go ahead. Did you
Oh,
want to say
I was
something?
gonna say, I think that like I've heard, I don't know, me and him have kind of talked about it too, but I think that his family has influenced a lot of that too, is what it sounds like, because he's told me that like he's told his family about me and stuff, and I think that's like looking back from my other relationship, hearing that he didn't tell his family about me and stuff, and so I just
Yeah,
think that the parents have a big influence on that.
yeah. From what you've told me, it sounds like they've had a good influence on him. Sounds like I'll like his parents when I eventually get to meet them. So the previous boyfriend, I did have concerns after a while that he didn't want to come around, but I don't think I ever really said anything, did I? Maybe I did. I don't know.
I don't think, I mean, you had just mentioned like, yeah, is Austin, I don't know, is he gonna come over?
I think I
But
probably mentioned things a couple times. So part of my thing is when the right one comes around, I'm gonna want to be around him. I'm gonna feel like I'm gaining a buddy. I want to mentor him. I want to be a mentor to him. I want to teach him up. I want to teach him things that I know about being a man. And I would want the right guy to want to come around.
yeah,
And I'll encourage that. So, do you feel like sharing why you broke up with the previous boyfriend?
yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So I learned from this, definitely. It's probably one of the biggest takeaways from that whole relationship. Um, it had been, I think, how long had it been? 4.5 months at that point that we had been dating.
I don't know
Maybe
exactly,
longer.
probably.
It might have been 5. I don't know exact numbers,
Seemed
but
like 5 or 6, but
yeah, it might have been 5. Um, and so one night, like I was in the bath and he asked what I was doing, and I was just honest, and I told him I'm taking a bath.
this was by text.
This was by text, yes. And then he asked for pictures. I just told him, what? Like, no, like I'm not
He said,
sending you
let me
pictures.
see.
Yeah, he said like, let me see them, and I was like, it kind of like shocked me. I was like, oh, like, And I don't, like, for me, it felt like awkward and just like, no, like, I'm not interested in that. And I don't know. I just feel like there's so many bad things that can happen, even just from that, whether a person wants to or not. There's a lot of consequences that can happen, especially nowadays with like cell phones and everything. Like, pictures don't just go away, like, they go around to a lot of people, and it can cause a lot of setbacks in your life. And so when I had told him no, like, I don't feel comfortable with that, and he said, "Oh, well, why not?" And it just felt like a boundary was being kind of like crossed, like not respected either. And I think he's a high school boy, and I think a lot of high school boys share that interest. But um it's just not, it doesn't align with my morals. And so I just had told him no, and then the next day I asked him if we could talk, and he was kind of not wanting to talk, like, because we had an agreement. It was at school, and I just texted him. I was like, "Yeah, how about we talk after class?" And I didn't want to talk with him like over text and break up with him. I feel like that's not sincere, and you can't read tones, because I didn't want to be rude or like be all mad at him. I wanted to be more of a mature way to end a relationship, and so we agreed to like meet after class and not around a lot of people and stuff, obviously. And then he just left, like went out to his car and everything. And then I carpool with a good friend, and so we were going to pick up her kid, and then we went back, and this was before I could drive or anything, and she dropped me off at the high school, and I met up with him, and I got out of the car and walked over there, and he was with a whole group of his friends. Like, it was just him and like three other cars full of his friends, and it felt like a lot. Like, it kind of made me feel anxious in a way. Like, getting out and being like, oh my gosh, like, it felt like it was, I don't know. It was,
So did you get to talk to him without them hearing?
yeah, so like
Okay.
because they had their windows down, they're like, oh, she's here. And then he gets out of the car, and I talked to him, and
Could they hear?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
They had music going and stuff, but I just said, I think it'd be better for us not to be together right now. I think that after last night, it felt pretty uncomfortable, and oh, this is another key part. He said that nothing bad would happen, basically, if I sent pictures to him. But it feels like that's past his judgment in a way. Like, and it felt a little bit
He
more
said it'll be
forceful.
all right. You said
Yeah.
no.
It just felt like there wasn't a lot of respect after that point. And then it just felt awkward to me, at least. Like, I don't know. Um, and so I told him I was nice overall, and I just said, like, I don't think I'm interested in having a relationship revolved around that or anything yet. Um, and I was pretty open and nice, and I think overall it was good being able to talk in person
So
and
what else
everything.
did you do during handling this? Did you tell
Um,
other people?
yeah, I ended up texting his mom because over the time that we were dating, I got pretty close with his mom. Um, and I
Once
really,
she knew about you.
yeah, yeah, once she knew about me,
She was a nice
she was
lady.
really nice, yeah. And so I just felt like overall, like, I don't think that this kid is bad in any way. I think that he's just struggling right now to be mentored, I guess, is the best way to put it. I think I learned that his dad, like, he works a lot and it's hard. He's not around, like, all the time. And I think that makes a big difference, too, not being mentored exactly the same. And he's the oldest, so kind of changes things as well. But I told his mom because I thought about it, and I think that his mom deserves to know to be able to help him, like, overall, and so that he can learn and grow from this
It's
whole
kind of a
experience.
touchy subject because I know that he felt betrayed by you a little bit for you to tell his mom. And it's tricky. You didn't go tell kids at
Mm-mm.
school.
I didn't want anybody else to know. I feel like that's not their business, and it's not good. Like, I don't want his reputation to be that or anything.
In a way, I felt like his mom's a nice lady, and I felt like she wants the best for him, really wants to help him. She she does hold high standards for him, but hopefully she could help him in a gentle way. And from my point of view on all of this, when she told me, and I was really proud of her because I didn't know about it that night when he asked her, and I didn't know about it until toward the end of the next day. She called me when I was at work, and I'm like, "How are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, not very good." I'm like, "Really?" And she goes, "I just broke up with so and so," and I was like, "Really?" And in my heart, I felt a little disappointed because I kind of liked him, you know. And she told me what happened, and she doesn't know this. I was kind of smiling, like I was really proud of her for just handling this, and I didn't need to hear about it. Like, it was very grown up of her the way that she handled it. She didn't tell me. She just handled her business, and she broke up with him. It didn't meet her standards. She felt like boundaries were crossed, and she handled it. And then she told me, and I was glad that she felt comfortable to tell me everything. And then we were able to have some good conversations about it. And my point of view was like when she told it, he goes, "What are you doing?" by text, and she says, "I'm taking a bath." Of course, he's 17 years old, and the first thing that goes through his mind is, "Oh, she's naked." And I want to see. Well, of course you do, but I'd probably be more worried about you if you didn't.
Oh my
But
gosh.
you're kind of crossing a boundary, and I'm proud of her. She handled it. Like, I didn't need to get involved. I don't hate him. I don't think bad of him. I think it's an honest 17-year-old mistake. I hope that he learns from it and grows. And I hope that he knows who, knows if he's going out with a girl. I hope he knows her better and is able to respect her boundaries and just go from there. I hope he learns and grows.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people give into that, obviously, like sending pictures and doing all that. And it's such a common thing. Like I've had some good friends that have actually done that, and it's hard seeing them choose to do that, but then it's also seeing why they chose to do that. And
Felt pressure.
they felt
and different
pressured,
things.
and I think they also felt like if they like that person so much, like they don't want it to be the end of a relationship, and they're like, "Yeah, I'll do this." Like, you know what I mean?
So, that's a
It
very
feels
good
like
point.
they'll do it 'cause they
were
care
willing
about
to
the
cross
person.
their own boundaries
Yes.
in
So
order to keep
I
what
think-
made them feel
Yeah.
good, the
so
relationship.
I think it's so important that I think that my dad, I think he does a very good job just helping me and Maggie, I think, boosting our confidence in the right kind of way so that me and Maggie know our worth and knowing that we don't have to settle for a person and knowing that if something like that happens, like they're just probably not the one. Like it's just not time yet. And I think that a lot of parents probably don't influence their daughters in that kind of a way. And so their daughter thinks, "Oh, nothing better than this will come," or you know what I mean? Think like they have to know that they can deserve better than that, I think. And just learn that it's a learning opportunity as well, not a, "Oh, I have to do this to stay with this person."
Very good point. And I'm really glad that you feel comfortable that way and comfortable to just break off a relationship if it's not meeting your own personal standards. And I didn't have to get involved. You handled that. Like that was very mature. So after the fact, we did have conversations about it, and I did see one thing that she should
Yeah.
do different, and we talked about it. It's an honest mistake. It didn't cross her mind. I shouldn't tell him. I shouldn't tell him I'm in the bath because she wasn't playing chess in her mind. I'm playing chess in my mind. I'm thinking, of course, the second you tell him you're in the bath, he's thinking, "Oh, she's naked." Then his next move is,
Well,
let me see.
and up until then, there had been no reference to anything even like that. Like, nothing in our relationship had even come across as physical or anything like that. And so I think that caught, like, I didn't expect him to be like that or think, you know what I mean? Kind of caught me off
Kind
guard
of
too.
surprised you.
But it's definitely a learning
Definitely
experience.
the conclusion. The one point I did make to Sweetie Pie here was next time you don't like it's not lying to just not mention the truth that you're in the bath.
Yeah.
You could just say, "Oh, I'm just hanging out. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And we
Avoid that whole situation.
we kind of played through the whole chess game there. The second you say that, this is what any boy that age probably thinks. "Oh,
Yeah.
she's naked."
Yeah.
So if that's not where your standards are, you don't want to provoke
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So learning lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another thing is that a lot of girls, like me and my sister's age, just in high school in general and middle school too even, I think a lot of them feel overall pressured by a lot of people, peers even too, which can be hard if you're raising your kid and and are teaching them all these things, it also matters who they surround themselves with more than anything, because you can do exactly what my dad here is doing, and I feel like we have a really open communication about everything, and I think that their friends have a huge impact on that as well. Like saying, "Oh no, it'll be fine. Like you should totally do that." You know what I mean? And then buying and be like, "Oh yeah, you're right. My parents probably just don't know." Like, you know what I mean? I think a lot of that plays in that. And so also even talking to your kids about that too, just peer pressure and influence and just everything, the people that you surround yourself with.
Well, and to be fair, you've had some hard times with friendships at times because of some of that pressure, and
Yeah.
they're not they're not raised the same way. They don't have. I want to be careful. I don't want to act like I'm raising you perfect, and it's not like that.
No.
But it is that I am trying to be open, and accountability is such a big thing. And part of, I think that you're very accountable, and I think a lot of it, would you agree, a lot of it has to do with that I'm open. I'm teaching
Yeah.
accountability by
Seeing you do it.
showing you that I'm accountable. And when I screw something up, I come back to you and say, I'm really sorry. I feel like I handled this wrong. And I feel like this probably didn't feel good to you, or whatever is the situation, rather than justifying or acting perfect and never sharing any of my failures, because I fail as a dad too.
Yeah.
At times I kind of talked about it on the last episode. I got emotional thinking about it. It was the day that you came and found me at the park.
I stalked you.
You little stalker monkey. But
yeah, I think accountability is definitely a big thing. And I think that when parents can demonstrate that for their kids, it makes a big difference. Because, like, as a parent, your kid's going to look up to you like you're their parent. Like, it's not any, like, they'll never have another relationship like that and that bond and look up to somebody like that, because you're ultimately the one teaching them things, and they're learning everything from you, and they're always watching what you're doing, and, like, you know what I mean? Kids are I think they're very observant, and they pick up on habits that their parents have and just everything. And so I think having the habit of being very just honest and willing to come back when you make a mistake is super important.
there's a reason why it's very important to me, and it goes back to my childhood, my all growing up teen years, actually my whole life. Um, I I said this recently that I could count on one hand the number of times that my dad ever apologized to me, or said that he felt like he came back and said that he felt like he handled this wrong. I can count those times on one hand, and guess how many fingers I need?
None.
None. You're right. None. I cannot remember my dad ever apologizing. So then there's this idea of basically perfection, showing that the parent's perfect, um, and expecting to bring accountability or teach accountability to the kids by enforcing it, not showing it, by enforcing it. Oh, if the kid makes a mistake, the parent comes down hard on the kid and says, you really screwed this up. You're going to pay for what you damaged. You're going to do this and that. You're going to go and apologize. All the while, the kid has, in my case, never seen their parent apologize.
Yeah.
So what is that really teaching? So I really believe in accountability to teach accountability and responsibility. So, Sweetie Pie, DQ, thank you for coming on this episode. I hope that everybody will just really enjoy listening to this. This little girl is very special to me.
Aw.
Stay tuned. I'm going to throw a little outtake when we were just
Oh,
testing
my.
the mics. I'm going to throw an outtake on the end of this. Thank you for listening. We're going camping, so I hope that I'll be able to post another one at the same time next week, but we'll see when we're back. Might be a couple days late next week again, but stay tuned. I am going to keep going with this. It's fun. Have a great week. Okay, mic test, take one. Okay. Okay, little girl, talk to me.
Okay, boy. Talking to you.
Boy, girl,
Boy, girl,
Boy.
what?